So let's go. Let's talk about the matchup real quick. He won Melty. Good shit. Let's talk about the matchup for just a moment, right? This is a classic David versus Goliath matchup, and you might think, well, that sounds really stupid coming from this small of a girl, but man, when you talk about a character like Akatsuki, you're like, well, he as soon as he gets in, right, he's able to put pressure on. He's able to do a lot of damage. Well, it's unfortunate that this character actually does more damage than Akatsuki on a regular basis. She does a crazy amount of damage, and she has the ability to keep him out. So this is actually one of the best situations you can possibly be in is round start, because you're the closest. Scrawt is going to look to put Phonon J3 into block it any possible way. And then he's going to run the game, run the game, run the Oki game on her once he finds it. He says overhead, does good damage. He has 2A now, which is a low. Also great as well because he can chain it into itself. But I would say that the thing to really think about is, remember what I was saying before, the defense into the offense. So if I'm Akatsuki, what I'm thinking of right now is I want to change. I want to shield a bunch of shit and then take that and then do like something like Tatsu chain shift or fireball chain shift. And I'm trying to get my ass in there. And then I have to think about what her options are. So let's get into this one. You see here already, he's thinking about it. He's blocking, he's gaining grid, he's shielding on top of that. Tried to find his way in, but he gets hit. Still able to get the Vorp roll. Finds the throw. Chain shift. Remember what we're talking about. Whoa, the huge bet. Scrawt, you're a madman. Okay. So finds after he gets a Vorp roll, this is a good situation to be in because now you have Vorp roll. He wake up Tatsu's like a crazy person. I don't blame him. He needs to get his ass in there. So wake up Tatsu. Chain shift and tried to go for the mix up. And then he tried to go and do jump to C in order to get the counter hit, trying to bait something out here on the run up. Maybe even trying to bait out a button just because he thought that maybe, or a tech because he ran up maybe thinking that he was going to throw. Either way, he's looking for a button to be pressed by J3. It doesn't happen. And that's a punish. But if he gets this to hit, by the way, this is one of Akatsuki's best starters. This shit hurts. So he goes for big damage out of the gate. And that means J3 gets the punish. One good thing about this super is that it gives you a lot of time to set up. Oh, man. All right, so I wasn't able to win the Vorp roll. So this is one thing I might question how Scrawt was playing in this situation. Is I remember what I was saying before, you want to turn defense into offense. Finds the air fireball hit. Like that's fine and dandy. But in this situation right here, you're unable to do anything about... getting Vorpal back because one of the things that J3 is recognizing in this situation is that if I don't press buttons, then he doesn't really have a lot to get Vorpal from me. So what am I going to do? I'm just going to sit back and wait. So one of the things that you can do is that you can make sure that he stops getting grid by going to concentration, which spends your own bar to get grid. All right. It's a very small amount, you can see. But it is something. So he gets Vorpal back. One thing that Scrawt could have done in this situation is supered because you can't block while you're concentrating. So you could have done Fireball Super and then kept her from chain shifting or getting Vorpal. Then he might have chain shift at the minimum. or at the maximum, he would have gotten him a chain shift. J3 would have cashed out on the meter, and then Scrot would have been able to take Vorpal. At the minimum, he would have stopped concentrating. He would have been able to concentrate on his own and then taken Vorpal. In this situation, Vorpal is more important than your meter. Meter will get you damage, yes, but what you need to do is get your ass into Mars. There you go. Now he's using all of his meter in order to try to get him on, keep the pressure up with the EX fireballs. It doesn't work out. Eats the force function. No combo afterwards. He had meter. Tried to go for the throw and it was just a little bit too far. So why does he try to go for the throw in this situation? It's because throws do gain grid. They take grid away from the opponent. So recognizing that this second cycle has been this is so close. I need to close it out in some way. Tries to bait something here. J3 is very content on down backing. Goes for the dash and throw a little bit too far. And then the force function, unfortunately, works out. Now he's got Vorpal once again. 3 cycles in a row where J3 has gotten Vorpal. And look what that means in terms of a difference. 3 cycles. If that does not emphasize the importance of Vorpal, I don't know what does. Because he won almost every Vorpal sequence, if not every single one of them. I'm trying to find a time where that shit was blue. Is that ever blue? It is never blue. That shit was never blue. You are most likely not going to win a matchup if you never win Vorpal. It's possible. It is possible. You can just play better than the opponent. But consider the options that Vorpal gets you. More damage, cancelable anything. Canceling things means you get grid meter. And you also get your Vorpal trait, which is, what is Phonon's Vorpal trait? So if you guys didn't know, this is something that isn't really told in any situations, nor as commentators do we ever really talk about it. But a lot of characters have Vorpal traits. So what that means is that in Vorpal, people have different moves that they're able to do. We were talking about Batista before, right? And Batista has a forward charge move, which is very unique in this game. So what Batista gets to do, she gets to, instead of holding forward charge for her laser, she can just tap forward. So she can do 6-4, she gets a laser. I believe Phonon's, let me look it up. Phonon's Vorpal starts up in 4 frames less and is head and vol 3 frames earlier. So it becomes much better of a reversal option for her. Very cool. So you imagine if you never have your Vorpal, you never get these options. These aren't necessarily game-breaking powerful, but they are something to think about, right? Like that situation right here where he uses a Vorpal. This is very important. What's it called? For Akatsuki. Akatsuki is that his B fireball has less recovery and that he gets more combo time off his force function, his parry. Makes a matchup like this so much better, right? Like if you were to make a read on a force function on a parry and get a combo off it, boom, that's not only combo damage, that's pressure. Attack plus frames. Goes for a reverse beat right here. So one thing is that Akatsuki's players will have to do, something you have to recognize as maybe the Akatsuki player or someone who's playing against Akatsuki, is that he will go for constant reverse beats because he has to. He has to stay in. So You recognize he's gone for a lot of standing what's it called? Standing links here, standing passing links, standing beats. Goes for the low, reverse beat into 2A, dash up pressure again. Nice tech. Gets hit low. And one thing that he does very well here, or this is one thing that I'd really kind of want Scrawt to do, is that he gets the tech, right? And maybe just gets clipped low trying to move forward. I don't know. But in this situation, again, think about the Vorp roll. Look at the grid she has. Look at the grid that you have. If you shielded this, this would have evened it up almost. Instead, you got hit. There you go. Oops, sorry. Press the wrong button. 4.2 damage, baby. This character does a lot of damage. Normally, Akatsuki beats people in damage. Oh, drop combo. Still has the pressure, though. Finally has Warp Roll, and he decides to spend the meter first instead of spending the chain shift. I like that quite a bit. Want to keep the ability to use the damage for a little bit longer. He uses it right here, and I don't mind this too much because he's already shown that he's been able to deal with reverse beats quite well. So he goes for Fireball chain shift, keeps the pressure up, and then goes for something here. We'll find in a second. But the reason why I'm pausing it again is because I'm showing that he gains the meter again. So if this mix-up doesn't work, he has another EX Fireball to work with. Just for the axe kick out of the air. Tatsu mixes it up. So one of the other things that Akatsuki players have to do is they have to use Tatsu in order to mix up whether they're going to go for A or B. Both of them are negative, but the thing is that, you know, you have to recognize that the Tatsu's over. So he keeps the pressure up by using Tatsu. What J3 is trying to do in this situation, he's trying to shield in order to gain grid and win this next cycle. Very, very has a great idea or a great read of what he needs to do in order to make sure that he has the upper hand against Scrawt. What does Scrawt do? Well, he runs in and he gets the throw. Remember what I was telling you before is that throws steal grid? Boom. Take that grid meter from him. Uses force function. Force function takes grid as well in order to use. Or it takes grid if you have grid. Chain shift once again. So you can look at this pressure. So now, how is this different from the previous game? He gets grid here, right? 64 seconds in. 40 seconds in, he's still pressuring this dude. 30 seconds in, even he's okay. All right. Well, he went crazy. He's a madman. He definitely didn't need to do this. He definitely didn't need to do this. He definitely could have kept going with the amount of meter that he had. I don't know how you accidentally get Veil off. Oh, boy. Look at that. Asura comes out. Oi. No, it didn't work. I thought he had it, too. One thing I do like to note here is that he made a really good block with the jump, or what's it called? Before this. Yeah, the high block there off the jump A, that was a good block because one of the ways that Phonons open people up is that they do jump A and then they chain shift and get a full combo off it. Jump A doesn't have a lot of hits done on hit, but you chain shift it and then you get a combo off it. One of the few ways that Phonon players have to open you up high. Man, she has no recovery on her fireball. That's fucking wild. Scrawt switching to Eltnum. So, yeah, he also plays Eltnum, but mainly plays Akatsuki. But switching to Eltnum because just God, so much better of a matchup. You don't feel like you have to get in her ass the entire time. Also, you have when you have meter, you have EX gun or EX gun shot, and that gives you a full combo off wall bounce. So it's nice. However, you are still outranged by Phonon, right? Boom. Get shot. Big drop, dude. The drops are really what's hurting. He only plays guest characters. He must hate Uni. It's like all the guys in Tekken that only play DLC characters. No, they only play the 2D characters. It's just like, yeah, like what's it called? I forgot there was one of the players I was watching not too long ago, or actually in Texas, or not Texas, TXT. That's what I mean. In TXT, one of those players was actually a 2D player. He went from Geese to Eliza to Akuma. Plays all the cheater characters. Nice. So I'm gonna talk about this real quick. Gets double combo, active reload. So if you don't know, Eldum has Gears of War mechanics where she gets to active reload her gun. Her gun, once she has blinking fireballs, or blinking gunshots. When she has blinking gunshots, what she gets is that she gets the ability to have more plus frames on block and do more damage on hit. So that's why you want them. It's not absolutely terrible if you don't it's not terrible if you don't miss it. At some point it becomes a rhythm, just like it does in Gears of War, but you know, it is extra. It does get you, for a character like Eltnum, she doesn't do a tremendous amount of damage, especially compared to Phonon, but it does give her the chance to do it. Phonon's crazy. Nice. Reverse beat into the full combo off 4B. Good stuff. Good stuff from Phonon. J3 is sick, though, right? So there was actually one part where I was just blabbering about other shit that I really wanted to talk about. It was... So one of the things is that I think Scrawt's obvious ability to not, or he's dropping combos and that really hurts. Was it in the second game? I think it was after this. Dun dun da 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 dun dun dun. Reload, and then immediately press buttons here, right? Back tech recognizes Scrawt wants to get in. Press buttons, gets to confirm. And this was so important, right? He could have just down-backed in this situation, but as soon as he realized Scrawt was going to run in, he went in and he pressed a button. And one of the things that you have to recognize as a Phonon player is that you're not a traditional zoner, right? You're not a screen pollution zoner like the other two. You're not Batista. You're not constantly putting things on the screen and having them hold the fort down for you. You're not Hilda. You're not trying to get them to run into your buttons. You are someone who has to make sure that movement is checked at all times. And you have to try a little bit harder to do that because you're using your normals. You're not using specials as much. You have to be able to do things that have a lot of recovery and don't have cover specific angles. Unlike characters like Batista, which just use a line across the street, or Hilda, which cover a certain part of the area, you have to cover an angle when you're playing against Phonon. So a lot of the decisions you have to think about when you're playing against, or when you're looking at Phonon, is what angle is he choosing to approach at. A lot of the times it's the forward angle, right? This angle. But sometimes he's thinking about this one. He's thinking about that one as well. So this one right here, using that 4B, dash up 4B as well. Good stuff. Good stuff.